week. So I just wanted to call to your attention some of the stuff that you've probably seen in some other classes on the time value of money, just as a little refresher. So imagine that we have a $5,000 investment that's going to pay off some money in the form of a few $1,000s for the next 3 years, and we're trying to decide whether we think we should do it or not. And so I like to break the investment into three pieces, and they all relate to the timing of cash flows. You have your initial investment, which is going on at the time you do the investment today. So I call it time period 0, the initial investment. Let's call it II. And on that day, you're going to give up $5,000. So we have a minus 5,000. And then you're trying to evaluate what's going to happen over the next few years. So year 1, year 2, year 3. And I guess we'll do year 4 since I have it up here. So those cash flows might vary in size, and there's just an expectation of those cash flows if we're in a profit setting with a firm. There might be some risk associated with that money coming in, which might need to be dealt with in a different way, part of the discussion question. So suppose that we get $1,000 in the first year. I'm just going to make up some numbers here. We get $1,000. We get $1,000 in year 2, and we get $500 in year 3, and then finally we get our $5,000 back in year 1. What is the rate of return? We can go back and use the time value of money equation, where you might remember the future value of $100 1 year from now is the rate of return that you get plus your original investment. So if you have $100 today and you invest that at 6%, you are going to have $106 next year. So the present value of 100 times 1 plus 0.06 gives us your $6, and so the future value is 106. This then can be rethought in terms of bringing future values back to the present day. By doing a little bit of algebra, we get our formula here that the future value divided by or discounted by the interest rate raised to the number of periods in which that future value comes back to us gives us the present value. So for this particular problem then, we'd have to treat each one of these independently and discount these future sums back to the present day. So I didn't do the math ahead of time here, but we'd plug into this formula $1,000 and bring it back in time. $1,000 in year 2 isn't as valuable as $1,000 in year 1, so we need to calculate what it is. $500 in year 3, go back in time. And then finally, the $5,000 that I gave up, I get back to the picture in year 4, bring it all back, so that the present value of this future sum of money can now be compared to my initial investment. The question deals with risk, and so we may not know with certainty that these are coming back. And so you might think about the time value of money, which is really speaking more towards what my rate of return is, possibly after the fact. So if I look at this information and I made an investment and this is how it turned out after the fact, I can calculate the interest rate, the effective rate of return on that investment. But it's different when I'm on the front end of the decision, which is what managerial economics is all about, and thinking about the expected value of this cash flows. So just a little food for thought as you work through the discussion this week. I thought I would add that in. We'll chat soon again. Thanks.